everyone, today I will share with you how to make this felt jacket with two options. The first one is a sewing machine option, second one is a no sew hot glue option. I found this style on Pinterest. It's one of the most popular jacket, but I want to apologize to the person who originally designed it since it's being pinned so many times I just can't locate and give credit to that person. So let us get started. For tools, we need fabric and paper scissors, tape measure, hot glue and hot glue gun, thread and needle, pens and pins. For materials, we need about 1/4 yard of felt or fur sheets of felt from any dollar store or craft store. Same amount for lining option, and 3 buttons for one style and beads. I have prepared this pattern for you to use. You can download it from my blog. Just click on the link under the description box. And there's just a few things that I want to mention, like the seam allowance is 1/8 of an inch. There's a fold line. When I say two self and cut on fold, and at the back there are double notches. So first, let's cut out the pattern pieces and then pin the patterns to the fabric and cut out the pieces and make sure to snip the notches. And make sure at the fold line center back you have the notch as well. At the neckline, at the hem, and then again just pin and cut out the lining pieces as well. For the sewing machine option, first make a stitch line around the sleeve cap, then pull the thread to give the sleeve cap a little bit of gathers, and this will give a sleeve cap a nice shape, and do this for both pieces. So once you're done, put that aside and then sew the shoulder seams together. Right sides together, and make sure you clip the thread end. And next, this part is hard, so let's use some pin to pin the armhole and sleeve together. Right side together, and ensure to match the notches, the front notch and the double notches at the back. And so once everything is pinned, let's carefully stitch to attach the sleeve cap and the armhole together. And let's repeat the step for the other side. Now let's put the color pieces right side together, sew around it from notch to notch, and then snip out V shapes around the rounded stitch line, and then turn the colored inside out. Use the thumb to smooth out the seam, and then to ensure that the top color is bigger than the under color, just do a stitch line around the opening area. Next, let's pin the collar together with the neckline and ensure that the top collar piece is facing the right side of the neckline, and ensure to match all the notches starting from the center back notch, and let's make a stitch all around to attach the pieces. Then turn it out, and then you have a really nice collar. So that part is done, and you repeat the same step for the lining. So next, let's match the center back notch together, facing right side of the lining, and the top collar together, and let's pin it. We're going to attach the lining together, and then use a pin to pin around the center front as well. So we're going to sew around from the hem, center front hem, to around the neck, and sew all around the layer. So make sure all the notches are matched, and then once that's done, let's snip out the corner at a 45-degree angle, and again snip out the rounded stitch line as well, and turn it inside out. Use a pin to poke out all the pointed corner. Then use an iron and just press out, and turn out really nice. So you can press the inside lining as well. The next step is to clean finish the opening. So let's turn the lining and the felt fabric together, right side together. Let's pin it. Because of the structure, it's got to be twisted, so it's better to pin it first and then sew around the sleeve opening and turn it inside out one more time, and do it for both sides, and then give it a nice press. And so that's the sleeve opening is done. Now we have to attach the side seam and the sleeve seam together. So let's start with the felt side, right side together again, and let's pin it and go around to the sleeve opening area and to the lining, sleeve area, and then the side seam. So on one side, at the side seam, I'm gonna leave a little bit of opening. So on one side, you can just sew it all around and sew it shut. So you can turn it inside out, and as you can see over here, I leave about 1.5 inches opening, so later on you can turn everything inside out. And this is a hem part, so I'm just gonna sew 3/4 of the hem. So let's turn everything in and then pin everything and then do a stitch line. So I forgot to record this part, but that's how it is, just to sew from one end and then leave about 2 inches opening on one side. Again, cut the angle at a 45-degree angle and then turn it inside out. Because the fabric is bulky, that's why I want to leave a big gap. Then again, use a pin to poke out corners. And so from that opening of the side seam lining, I pull out the unsewn hem part, and then let's pin it and stitch it up. And again, cut out the 45-degree angle at the corner, use pin to pull it out. And then for this side seam opening of the lining, I just use hand sewing needle and do like an invisible stitching. So that means that you just grab it and then just stitch it inside so the thread is not visible. And once that's done, give it a nice press. So now, as per picture, I see a very nice big top stitching line. So I use double thread, knot at the back, and just do a hand stitch up and down. And the stitch length is about less than 1/4 inch or around 1/4 inch, and it's around 1/4 inch from the edge. And so I started from the hem up to the center front, and then around the neckline, and I go around the collar, and then just go around until I go back to the other side of the center front seam. And once I reach towards the end, I just do the double stitch, and this is the sleeve opening as well. For the brooch, I just use a black pen and then just sketch out like curvy lines in the middle of the petal, each petal. Once that's done, I use the hand sewing needle and stitch around and give it like a circular shape with about 1/2 inch diameter. Once that's done, I pull it to give the flower a more 3D effect. And then after that, I just use this beads that I have at home, and it's black, so I think I use about 6 or 7 of them. And once that's done, I put that aside. For the buttonholes placement, I'll make sure that I'll indicate it in the pattern. And once all the buttonholes are being cut out, I use a double thread, pull the needle through, and then draw the thread around and make it into like a loop, and repeat it a couple of times. But the third time, you hold the thread on one side with your thumb, and you make a stitch and pull it to the opposite side. So let's hold it with the thumb and then make a stitch and then pull it to the opposite side. So once I get towards the end, I just sew it around a couple of times to secure the thread, and that's how it is. And once I get the buttonholes, I just use a pen and mark the button placement, and then sew the buttons together as well. And with the brooch, so just play it around with the placement and then attach with the hand sewing needle. So this is the finished product. It looks so adorable. It looks even better outside. And this is the inside lining. For the hot glue option, I'm cutting out all the pieces with that lining with the 2-piece color. The only difference is that I'm adding 2 pieces at the center front, and it's a 1/4 inch width to reinforce the center front, and then a different style of brooch. So first, let's glue the shoulder seam together, right side together. And once that's done, you put it aside and let it dry. Next, let's attach the armhole and the sleeve cap together, starting from the shoulder seam with the sleeve cap notch. And let's go from there. So just do it bits by bits of the hot glue and make sure that the seam is all dried, because it's a curved line, so you just have to take patience and do it slowly. And just ensure to use your finger and close the seam as much as possible. It's workable. It's not as nice as a sewing, but it's still working. So here it is. That's how it is, the armhole. And you repeat it with both sides. And now you're gonna attach the side seam and the sleeve seam together. So again, let's start at the sleeve opening and go from there. And just to make sure to close it and then match the seam at the armhole. And go down to the side seam. And once that's done, you can turn the sleeve opening in. And looks like it's almost done. For the collar, let's place the pieces right side together and again close it. And then once that's done, just snip out the V shapes and turn it inside out. You have an option of using one layer. In this case, I'm using 2 layer, and to press it down, I'm just adding a little bit of glue just to glue the colors together. So let's start by attaching the collar to the neckline. I started out at the center back, and I'm working from the inside of the neckline, attaching to the top collar, and go from there. This part requires a lot of patience. And then once you're done with one side, you go to the other side and make sure that the collar ends at the notch. And then once that's done, you attach the outside layer, which is the under collar, to the right side of the neckline. So just use your fingers to press it, and once that's done, you can turn it out and then just shape the collar. Because this fabric is bulky, but it listens to you as well, so just shape the jacket. Next, I add a little bit of hot glue to turn the center front neckline down for a cleaner look, and then I attach the extra piece to the center front line to reinforce the edge and snip the extra off. So for the buttonholes, I just cut out another piece, a rectangle piece, and then cut out the same size and then glue it on just to reinforce the buttonhole. And that's how it looks like. So it'll be nice and tight. For the brooch option, first I add hot glue as a straight line and then fold the circle in half, and then add hot glue and fold it into quarter. So do the same to the other 3 pieces. Once that's done, indicate your placement and just add hot glue and place like the petals in a circular shape, and add the bead at the center. And that's how it is. It looks really cute actually. Again, this is optional, but it's part of the design. If you want to incorporate the stop stitching design, then just follow the instruction from the sewing machine option. And that's how it is. It doesn't look as bad. Of course, it's not as neat as the sewing machine option, but for people who don't have access to the sewing machine, who don't like to sew, this is a good option for you. That's how it is on Z. She looks really cute in it. And here is a more tailored look at Rebecca. She looks absolutely adorable. So what do you think about the style? You think you're gonna make it? And what option you're gonna go for? So please comment below and let me know. Once again, thank you so much for spending your time with me. Please give this video a big thumbs up. And for the new people, please press the subscribe button, and I shall see you soon. Bye!